Hello everyone, welcome to Redbust US channel. As most of you know, there was a lawsuit that was filed by Harvard MIT against DHS and ICE based on the recent ruling, against F1M students that they have to leave US if they're taking only online classes. Also, no visas will be given and there'll be entry ban. So in this video, we will look at all those aspects, like why they filed it and what are they asking from the court and how the entire lawsuit is structured. So if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe our channel for updates. So firstly, why this lawsuit, right? I mean, like this is the lawsuit that was filed by uh, by Harvard and MIT. So it was filed basically on 8th of July, which is technically yesterday, and it's a 26 page document that they filed. So, and if you look at why this lawsuit was filed by Harvard, MIT, and others, is because originally SCVP gave guidance on March 9th that gave flexibility for the schools to you know offer online or in-person classes and take actions in the way they want, right? And there was no restriction as such telling that they should only take online classes. Or in-person classes, and as things change, they could actually make decisions and you know uh, and inform them later as well. And now SCVP has changed this stance just before the fall 2020 start, which is a few weeks away, right? So that's why they're kind of upset with this, and there is no time, and all of this is not really clear. And most of the plans are done, right, for all these schools based on the original guidance that was given, and now they're deviating from the original guidance and asking to reissue thousands of I-20s, and much of the students' safety is at risk. And just to give a numbers perspective, Harvard has about 5,000 international students, and MIT has 4,000. So these are big numbers, and across the country there are, I don't know how many thousands we've got, right? So overall, this is the reason why they are filing the lawsuit. Now, what they are asking from the court is basically a temporary restraint order or a preliminary injunction. What it means is essentially, stop this, right? That's what, in general terms, stop whatever the order that has been given, and then maybe if needed, then go into the details of is it really why they've taken all of that, right? And stop this policy. That's what they're asking, and also they're asking them to refund the fees and everything. Now, if you look at the lawsuit key points, right, how they're structured is, the lawsuit is document is about a 26-page court document, and essentially in the first more than half of that, right, half of the document are much towards the until the majority of the document they talk about the situations with COVID, the challenges, and at the end they talk about the legal basis, right, and the argument points against that, right. So what we'll do is we'll look at each of them, what they're looking at, right. So the first and the foremost thing is on March 13th, President Trump announced a national emergency, and this is what they said, and they said that the a guidance that was given on by CBP will be in effect for the duration of the emergency. Now, President Trump has not lifted the national emergency because of COVID-19, and still other things are in there, right? So all of the situation has not changed in terms of numbers; they keep increasing. So now the flexibility that was given to the schools, based on this guidance and the original thing that tells that it will be effect until the end of the emergency is now taken off, right? It's a last minute change. That's the argument, key argument that they talk about, right? And they talk about many other important key aspects, like like the health risks, right? If you go to school, there people will be students will be sitting next to each other, and there is a very high risk for close contact and spread of the disease, right? And also there is no options for students. If you give this guidance now with 5 to 6 weeks left, how will be able to even transfer to other schools, right? It's illogical. If you studied in the US, it takes a semester to even to research a school and find and then go through the admission process. Now with this short duration, you can't really transfer, and you can't even find schools that may offer in-person classes with this pandemic. And safety is another big concern. It's not just students; it's also staff and faculty and the campus community. So the safety of them is also is a big risk when they force to open the campus, right? And fundamentally, there is not enough time to plan for all these big changes, that they announced, and you can't be announcing this now and asking them to comply for this, right? And also, what they've done is both of these schools, right? They have actually put up many committees, and they seek medical expert opinions over the period of time, right? In the last few months, contemplating what they should do, and they, essentially what they've got is you should actually do classes online because it still poses a big health risk. And all of that research and the opinions from experts and CDC, all of that is now in vain as these guys are forcing to open the campuses for keeping international students in status. Yeah. And an example they give is the Harvard Faculty of Arts. The average age is over 60, and as per CDC, they're very high risk. So it's a very very big risk for many of the faculty if they open campus in this kind of situation, right? And ICA does not ICE or SEVEP or DHS, whatever we call them, right? All of these does not consider the current growth rate of the infections and the current situation in the US, right? So it's really not logical in their view, right? And if they let students follow this guidance, they will be many of them will be forced to leave us, right? And it's going to impact them financially and also personally. First, financially, because they have to break their leases, they need to plan their air travel, and it's a last minute change, so there'll be more expenses. So also personally, they're going to be leaving the country and they're going to go to an unknown, their home countries. They may not be able to go. So there's a lot of personal stress that they have to go through as well. So all of this is not really, any good thing, right? And another big thing is regarding practical training, right? In general, for you to be eligible to get a practical training, you need to be in school for one in full-time status for one academic year. And now if they leave or the new students coming, and if they take remote classes, they can't be eligible for this because they have not been in full-time status in the US. So this is a very big thing because your internships, all of these are dependent on this, right? So this is another important part. And the remote studying is they've allowed that, but it's technically not possible because of the time zone issues. The classes are live and they're done at some point, and also there are internet issues, right? And in some of these countries, can't expect in countries like Ethiopia, they're shutting the internet down for a certain period of time. And there are civil war hit countries like Syria, where students have come from those countries, and now they don't even know if they can go back, and the future is at huge risk. And also, Trump administration acknowledged their stance to reopen schools, and they always want to reduce F1 students, all of the illegal immigration in the U.S. So I mean, they're trying to rub the political agenda on the on all of these these very important decisions that related to students' health and all of this, right? So these are some of the key points that they talk, right? Now, if you look at the argument points, like, okay, legal basis, right? When you go to court, you need to have some legal basis to challenge it, right? So the first key reason there is it violates it's Administrative Procedure Act, they call it, right? I mean, you can ignore what that means, but fundamentally it defines a lot of things that need to be considered when you actually issue anything, right? There are many parts as part of APA, but what the first and foremost is it fails to consider the impact that it will have to international students. So it's not rational, that's what they're arguing, right? So it does not look at the entire circumstances, and it's basically violating all of that as per APA. And the second one is it's ICE has deviated from their original guidance from March, telling that it will be effect until the end of national emergency. So this is also basically they've gone back from they've changed their stance, which is not right. So this is the first one, and the second one is they fail to offer a reasonable basis to justify the policy. The idea is whenever you form a issue a policy guidance, they should have some technical reasoning and logic for that, and why they've given this. But here they have not given any reason or logic why they've given this guidance to reopen schools despite the pandemic. Yeah? So the second one. The third one is they're telling that they will just publish a final rule without public comments and rulemaking process. For a significant guidance like this, they're supposed to publish the rule for public comments and then take feedback and then pass the final rule. Now they're doing all of these without consent from them, right? So this is another important thing that they're violating. and there's no a good reason given by ICE why they're not following this process. So these are the legal basis that they argue against ICE and DHS or SEVIP, telling that they need to basically take this back. That's what they're asking. And there was an update from yesterday. So there was a court hearing. We were part of that as well. The government asked for some time to come back in one day. In fact, one of the Harvard students, Remeta students, was denied boarding based since this guidance was given. And what they're asking is an injunction order or a temporary restraint order for 15 days so that they can actually, go into further planning. What it does is it puts everything in pause, when these orders comes in, so that then they can actually go back to the court and argue all these things, right? And July 15th is a key date. This is what Harvard and MIT was telling in court today. The reason is they have to report to schools to actually SCVP if they plan what they plan to do, either fully online classes or if they plan to open them or not, right? So this date is significant. That's what they highlighted. But the government said that, oh, we need more time. We have to coordinate with many agencies and all of that, right? So again, this is a significant I don't know, how to describe it. It's one of the major decisions that will impact many of students' careers and their aspirations. So I think this is the lawsuit is structured very well, and it raises all the points that are that are very very important for the case. I think there is a very good chance. Personally, reading at that, again, we have to see how the court reacts to that. But hopefully, this comes in favor of students so that they can continue their plans and study in the US. Again, thank you for watching. Hope it was helpful. Do subscribe for getting regular updates, and yeah, thank you again for watching.